So Sophie Cunningham hints at WNBA commissioner shakeup as she goes after Kathy Engelbert. I do feel like as a whole that could be a position that's maybe open at the end of the year. What are you talking about? That means the commissioner positions may be open at the end of the year. She added, Kathy Engelbert's done a lot of good things, but with where our league is trying to go, I feel like you just want someone who also wants that. That's up to the NBA commissioner, Adam Silver, at the end of the day. Sophie Cunningham is calling out directly saying, Adam, at the end of the day, you're the top brass. You've got to.
A commissioner's job usually ends with a boardroom decision, a press release, and a carefully rehearsed statement. In the WNBA, one of the loudest warnings about Kathy Engelbert's future came from a player casually suggesting her chair might be empty by the end of the year. Then Patrick Bet-David noticed the detail that made that comment much harder to dismiss. Engelbert's contract has a real expiration date. Adam Silver controls what happens next. And
Sophie Cunningham has decided, Kathy Engelbert is going to be a new target for her. And I mean, I'm not even going to say that I blame her here. I'm really not going to say that I blame her because overall, when it comes down to it, Kathy Engelbert is despised. She is despised by these players. And they all want her gone. And it really doesn't, it doesn't really matter in these scenarios how good a job Kathy has done.
There's something almost ridiculous about the way Kathy Engelbert's job may be hanging in a balance. The loudest warning sign did not come from a boardroom, a leaked memo, or an angry owner, but from a basketball player casually suggesting that the commissioner's
I do agree with Sophie. Sophie Cunningham did another print profile piece, and she did it with USA Today, talking about a variety of topics about future of the WNBA, and she's obviously put herself in the center of controversial topics before, but she had this to say about the commissioner role. Quote, you do have to have a person in power who is bold, who is confident, and wants the best for players, and maybe not for themselves all the time. I would like to see a change at commissioner, someone with a little more gravitas, someone who is willing to be at the center of controversy, to take some arrows for the players and for the league.
That alone would have been easy to dismiss as athlete frustration, except Patrick Bet-David noticed the detail hiding underneath the comment that makes the whole thing much harder to laugh off. Engelbert's contract has an actual expiration date, and suddenly a sentence from Sophie Cunningham starts looking less like random criticism and more
somebody that can't come out and just make a ruling about what a woman is in Women's National Basketball Association eligibility guidelines. I mean, we can't define that? No, it seems we can't. Because the lame duck commissioner, is too scared of the woke players and the coaches. I'm looking right at you, Cheryl Reeve. And
the chain of events started with something far less dramatic than a corporate contract clause. Indiana Fever guard Sophie Cunningham gave an interview to USA Today that on its surface sounded like standard
Don't come now. We need new leadership. Basically calling out the commissioner, saying we need somebody in there that's confident and will fight for the players. She told straight out, and she said, maybe when this season's done, we'll have an opening there. And we need somebody in that position that's confident. Folks, why is this league so popular right now? Is it the play? Is it the exciting gameplay? No, it's the...
She talked about wanting league leadership that is bold, confident, and genuinely focused on what benefits the players rather than what benefits itself. That's the kind of quote most reporters would file away without a second thought. Then Cunningham added one more sentence almost as an afterthought, saying that as a whole, the commissioner's position could be open at the end of the year. She followed that up by noting the decision wasn't hers to make, which sounded like a disclaimer, but actually functioned as a spotlight because she had just publicly floated the idea that Kathy Engelbert's job might not survive past this season. What elevated the comment from casual speculation to something worth analyzing further was how specific Cunningham was about who the decision-maker is. This is the exact point where David's role in the story becomes essential because most people who heard Cunningham's comment treated it as just another athlete voicing frustration. Bet David treated it as a clue. He didn't get distracted by the personalities involved or the controversy swirling around the league at the time. Instead, he asked a much more useful question, which was why Silver felt comfortable.
Sorry, sweetheart, but you're going to get bad stuff said about you. You are. I'm sorry. You don't like it. I don't know. I get racist threats every day. Every day I get a racist threat. I don't sit here whine and moan about it. I fire back or I let it go. One of the two. No, it's amazing. That's your focus. That and the fact that, well, you all didn't watch us 30 years ago. You can't watch us now. It's the dumbest operation ever. How about you?
That tension growth on one hand and dissatisfaction on the other is precisely the contradiction sitting at the center of this entire story. Cunningham wasn't operating in isolation either, which is part of what makes her comment harder to dismiss as an outlier. Minnesota Link star Nafa Collier has also expressed frustration regarding how the league has handled player relationships and broader social issues under Angelbert's leadership. One player raising concerns can be written off as a personality conflict or a bad week. Two prominent players independently raising similar concerns starts to resemble something more structural, and structural problems tend to get harder to ignore the longer an organization tries to wait them out. It's also worth noting who hasn't joined that chorus, because the silence is almost as telling as the criticism itself. Caitlin Clark remains the most commercially significant player in the league by a wide margin. Yet, she has largely avoided taking a public position on this particular controversy. That's not a knock against her. That distinction matters because it explains why her relatively modest comment traveled so far. Not because...
I wouldn't be surprised if they actually let some biological men come on that court, because at least it would make it watchable.
She's like the Jordan of...
Yeah, the Jordan. I think it was Ari Spears. He said something like she looked like a baby giraffe trying to stand. Like, you know, they can't even move. I think it's just all a ploy because it's unwatchable. But it's like the attention that they're trying to get is unbelievable. But I respect Sophie Cunningham because, Tom, what's the word that you said?
Authentic and fair.
And there's two words, too, I'm going to add on top of that. Common